Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and remember, happy 4th of July. Context is Everything Media Network founder and CEO John Michael is reading a textbook cover to cover. Today, we read chapter 26, section 2. Yesterday, we read section 1, which was about Japan and its modernization. It broke away from its insulation of not looking outside of its country and stopping trade with other countries. It went from that to being modernized. And they were pretty scientific about it. Check it out in the video from yesterday. Today, Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Happy 4th of July. Happy Southeast Asia and the Pacific, section 2, chapter 26. Setting the scene. My name is John Michael here at Context is Everything Media Network. I'm the founder, I'm the CEO, I'm the CFO. I am the social media marketer. Please subscribe. Please like. Please put on for your little dog. Number 1 in canine viewership. Very good. Yes. Chapter 26, Section 2. Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Now. Setting the scene. A Vietnamese official, Phan Thanh Giang, faced a dilemma in 1867. The French were threatening to invade. As a patriot, Phan Thanh Giang wanted to resist, but as a devoted follower of Confucius, he was obliged to live in obedience to reason. And based on the power of the French military, he concluded that the only reasonable course was to surrender. Phan Thanh Giang made his choice with a heavy heart. By avoiding a useless war that would hurt his people, he became a traitor to his king. For that decision, he wrote, "I deserve death." Well, leaders throughout the Southeast Asia faced the same dilemma during the age of imperialism. As they had in Africa, Western industrial powers gobbled up the region in their relentless race for raw materials, new markets, and Christian converts. Europeans colonize Southeast Asia. New heading. Southeast Asia commanded the sea lanes between India and China and had been influenced by both civilizations. From the 1500s through the 1700s, European merchants gained footholds in the region, but most of the area remained independent. This changed in the 1800s. Westerners, notably Dutch, British, and French, played off the local rivalries and used modern armies and technologies to colonize much of Southeast Asia. During the 1600s, the Dutch East India Company gained control of the fabled riches of the Moluccas, Moluccas, or Spice Islands. They then reached out to dominate the rest of Indonesia. The Dutch expected their Southeast Asian colonies to produce profitable crops and coffee and indigo as well as spices. In the early 1800s, rulers of Burma, modern-day Myanmar, clashed with British, who were expanding eastward from India. In several wars, the Burmese suffered disastrous defeats. They continued to resist British rule. However, even after British annexed Burma in 1886, they continued to resist British rule, however, even after Britain annexed Burma in 1886. Okay. The British also pushed through Malaya, Malaya. The bustling port of Singapore on the sea route between Indian Ocean and the China Sea grew up at the southern tip of the peninsula. Soon, natural resources and profits from Asian trade flowed through Singapore to enrich Britain. The French, meanwhile, were building an empire in the Southeast Asian mainland. In the early 1800s, French missionaries began winning converts in what is now Vietnam. The region had long been influenced by Confucian traditions. Vietnamese officials tried to suppress Christianity by killing converts and missionary priests. As with Burma, the British and Vietnamese misjudged European power. In the 1860s, the French invaded and seized a chunk of Vietnam. Over the next decades, they added more land, eventually seizing all of Vietnam, Laos, and Cambodia. The French and other Westerners referred to these holdings as French Indochina. By the 1890s, Europeans controlled most of Southeast Asia. They introduced modern technology and expanded commerce and industry. They set up new enterprises to mine tin and harvest rubber, brought in new crops from corn and cassava, and built harbors and railroads. But these changes benefited Europeans far more than the people of Southeast Asia. Many people migrated to Southeast Asia to escape hardships and turmoil at home, and to benefit the growing economic opportunities despite persistent local resentment. These communities of overseas Chinese formed vital networks in trade, banking, and other economic activities. Siam survives. New heading. Sandwiched between British-ruled Burma and French Indochina lay the Kingdom of Siam, present-day Thailand. King Mongkut, who ruled from 1851 to 1868, did not underestimate Western power. Before inheriting the throne, he had studied foreign languages and read widely on modern science and mathematics. He thus had a greater understanding of the West than many other Asian rulers. Although Mongkut had to accept some unequal treaties, Siam escaped becoming a European colony. He and his son, Chulalongkorn, I can't read his name. Chulalongkorn, Chulalongkorn, set Siam on the road to modernization. This is the son of Mongkut. And Mongkut himself set Siam on the road to modernization. They reformed government, modernized the army, hired Western experts to train Thais, Thais, in new technology. They abolished slavery and gave women some choice in marriage. As Siam modernized, Chulalongkorn bargained to remove the unequal treaties. That is the son of Mongkut, Chulalongkorn. In the end, both Britain and France saw the advantages of making Siam a buffer or a neutral zone between them. In the early 1900s, they guaranteed Siam's independence. New heading: Imperial powers in the Pacific. In the 1800s, the industrial powers began to take an interest in the islands of the Pacific. At first, American, French, and British whaling and sealing ships looked for bases to take on supplies. Missionaries, too, moved to the Pacific region and opened the way for political involvement. In 1878, the United States secured an unequal treaty from Samoa, gaining rights such as extraterritoriality and a naval station. Other nations gained similar agreements as their rivalry increased with the United States. Germany and Britain agreed to triple protectorate over Samoa. As their rivalry increased, the United States, Germany, and Britain agreed to triple protectorate over Samoa. From the mid-1800s, American sugar growers pressed for the power in Hawaii. When the Hawaiian queen, Liliuokalani, I remember that name from when I was in history class as a child, Liliuokalani tried to reduce foreign influence. American planters overthrew her in 1893. That's right, American planters overthrew her in 1893. They then asked the United States to annex Hawaii, which it did in 1898. Supporters of the annexation argued that the United States did not take Hawaii, Britain, or Japan. Supporters of the annexation argued that if the United States did not take Hawaii, Britain or Japan might do so. Right. Final heading. This was a quick one. Thank you for being here. My name is John Michael at the Context is Everything Media Network, founder and CEO, CFO, and social media marketer. Please like. Please subscribe. Please put on for your dog. Number 1 in canine viewership. Context is Everything Media Network. Sometimes life takes you away from home. Sometimes you need to do a job. Sometimes you need to go shopping. And these places are not dog friendly. But your dog is sitting at home thinking, I wonder what happened to the United States and the Philippines. New heading. In the 1500s, Spain seized the Philippines. Catholic missionaries spread Christianity among the Filipinos, and the Catholic Church gained enormous power and wealth. Many Filipinos accused the Church of abusing its position. By the late 1800s, their anger had fueled strong resistance to French rule. Inspired by leaders such as José Rizal, many Filipinos worked to end Spanish control of the islands. The United States became involved in the fate of the Philippines almost by accident. In 1898, war broke out between Spain and the United States over Cuba's independence from Spain. During the Spanish-American War, American battleships destroyed the Spanish fleet, which was stationed in the Philippines. Seizing the moment, Filipino leaders declared their independence from Spain. Rebel soldiers threw their support into the fight against the Spanish troops. In return for their help, the Filipino rebels had expected the Americans to recognize their independence. The peace settlement with Spain, however, placed the Filipinos under American control. I don't understand this. Bitterly disappointed, Filipino nationalists renewed their struggle. From 1899 to 1901, Filipinos led by Emilio Aguinaldo battled American forces. Thousands of Americans and hundreds of thousands of Filipinos died. In the end, the Americans crushed the rebellion. The United States set out to modernize the Philippines through education, improved healthcare, economic reform, and construction of dams, roads, roadways, railways, and ports. Additionally, the United States promised Filipinos self-rule sometime in the future. Looking ahead. And this is the end of our time here today. Thank you. John Michael, Context is Everything Media Network. Subscribe, like, thank you for being here. God bless. Looking ahead, by 1890, the United States, Britain, France, and Germany had claimed nearly every island in the Pacific. Japan, too, wanted to share in the region. Eventually, it would gain control of German possessions in the Pacific. Japanese territorial expansion would set the stage for a growing rivalry with the United States. Happy Independence Day if you are in the United States. Let's see how this whole project works out. Goodbye. God bless. Context is everything. Yes. Thank you. Bye-bye.